todavía puedes salvar tu alma. Aprender la diferencia entre el cielo y el infierno. Pedirle perdón al Señor. Yo te bautizaré y obtendrás la gloria y la paz eterna en el cielo. De lo contrario, sufrirás un tormento eterno en el infierno. ¿Me ha entendido bien?
¿Qué cristianos se lo man?
¿Van los cristianos al cielo?
Los buenos cristianos, sí.
Cachaguay, ¿qué es infierno, man?
¡Silencio! Esto es lo que os ocurrirá si desafiáis a los cristianos.
All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rikakwadash. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. This is part 2 of You Hispanics have forgotten your history. Okay, as you've seen in the opening video here, all right, in which I wanted to include this in the last video, but it was I didn't think to do it. But anyway, here it is. And as you can see, they're darker skinned people. Okay, your forefathers and the so-called white man burned them alive, all right, in the name of Christianity. Okay, all right, burnt them alive. So how about that? But today, you're so brainwashed with the caste system, okay, that elevated you, lighter-skinned people, above your darker-skinned brothers. You don't know what's going on. They conquered your people and destroyed your way of life, just like they did the so-called Negro, all right? But it was the will of the Heavenly Father to do this, okay?
Assault. Their captain, Hernandez de Cordoba, was hit again and again. Bernal himself was badly wounded, and he described a horrific scene. The whole of us were wounded, many shot through the neck, and more than 50 of our men were killed. In this critical situation, we determined to cut our way manfully through the enemy's ranks and make for the boats, which fortunately lay on the coast near at hand. We therefore firmly closed our ranks and broke through the enemy. At that moment, you should have heard the whizzing of their arrows, but a still more serious misfortune awaited us, for as we made a simultaneous rush to our boats, they soon sunk or capsized, so that we were forced to cling to them as well as we could. And in this manner, by swimming, we strove to make the best of our way to the small vessel, which was now in all haste coming up to our assistance. Many of our men were even wounded while climbing into the vessel, but more particularly those who clung to its side, for the Indians pursued us in their canoes and attacked us without intermission. With the greatest exertions and help of God, we thus got out of the hands of these people. They were not expecting it. And Bernal says more than 80 men were wounded in the opening assault. More than 80 men were wounded.
So as you can see, you Hispanics fought back, all right? You Mayans, you Mexicans, all right, fought back against the so-called white man. but you lost, okay? And they subdued you because it was the will of the Heavenly Father, okay, that the Edomites rule the earth and that you become a servant under tribute to them.
Still the Spaniards held their ground. Muskets cracked, crossbows fired, cannon thundered. The Indians fell in great numbers, but refused to break. The fight raged back and forth across the fields, and still Cortez had not arrived with the cavalry. For a moment the infantry feared the worst. Then suddenly, through the chaos of battle, horses burst onto the field. Cortez and the cavalry had finally fought their way through the marshes and enemy troops blocking their path. The charge came from behind the Indian lines. The Tabascans had never seen horses before. To them it looked as if the rider and animal were one creature. The sight terrified them. The cavalry smashed into their rear while the Spanish infantry attacked from the front. The great army of Tabasco finally broke and fled. When the fighting ended, the field was covered with bodies. Bernal Diaz says the Spaniards counted more than 800 dead. Many more were wounded. The Spanish losses were remarkably small by comparison, though several men and horses had been badly hurt. The Spaniards used the fat from a dead Indian to treat their horses' wounds. Still, the Spaniards held their ground.
So as you can see, they took your way of life and gave you another one, all right, to be servants under them, all right, and they brainwash you to believe that you were better than your darker skinned brethren, okay? But the Heavenly Father did this because of your worship, idol worship.
Nearby, they found something darker. On a small island stood temples filled with idols. Outside lay 5 recently sacrificed men, their chests opened and the ground still bloody. We found 2 houses, which were strongly built of stone and lime. Both were ascended by a flight of steps and surmounted by a species of altar, on which stood several abominable idols, to whom, the previous evening, 5 Indians had been sacrificed. Their dead bodies still lay there, ripped open, with the arms and legs chopped off, while everything near was besmeared with blood. We contemplated this sight in utter astonishment, and gave this island the name of Isla de Sacrificios. Not long after they reached the harbor they named San Juan de Ulua. There too they found a temple and priests, and there too they found fresh sacrifice. This time it was 2 boys. Here we found a temple on which stood the great and abominable-looking god, surrounded by 4 Indians, dressed in wide black cloaks and with flying hair. These were priests who had that very day sacrificed 2 boys whose bodies they had ripped up and then offered their bleeding hearts to the horrible idol. They were going to perfume us in the same way they had done their gods, and though it smelt like our incense, we would not suffer them. So shocked were we at the sight of the 2 boys whom they had recently murdered, and disgusted with their abominations.
So as you can see, this is the reason why the Lord is jacking you Hispanics up and having you taken captive and taken back to your homeland, all right, being removed from Babylon the Great. The reason why is because of your idol worship and your wickedness, all right? Okay? So I thought I would bring that out. That's part 2 of you Hispanics have forgotten your history, all right? You are the Israelites of the Bible, okay? Northern Kingdom, part of the Northern Kingdom of Israel. Shalom.